Welcome to the AP Pro Football Podcast. Tedy Bruschi, one of our AP voters, awards voters, and three-time Super Bowl champion. Man, it's great to talk to you. Great to have you on the show, Tedy. And I want to start off with a couple teams. Well, one team you're very familiar with, and then a guy that you're very familiar with. The New England Patriots got a big game this weekend against the Miami Dolphins, and it seems like Tua Tagovailoa probably isn't going to play because of a concussion. How do you view the way that changes this game against the Patriots?
I think offensively for the Dolphins, Rob, it's a big change because Tua being one of the biggest anticipatory throwers that the league has, and in terms of being on the same page with Waddle and Tyreek Hill, it's chemistry you can't replace, so those type of quick slants that you've seen Waddle and Tyreek Hill over the middle type of throws that they've hit on regularity, and they've caught it and gone for 40, 50 or 60, the deep ball down the field. I mean, it's a lot of things that take a lot of time to get on the same page with. And so we'll see what they can do offensively, but it definitely tilts the sort of favor into the New England Patriots for this game.
Tedy, what do you make of this season for the Patriots, the way it's gone? There was a lot of high expectations coming in and the way Mac Jones performed last year, but it's been an up and down season the last 2 weeks. Obviously, there was the lateral play, the ill-advised lateral play. Then against the Bengals, they had him on the ropes inside the 5 and almost with a chance to win that game, and they fumble. How do you evaluate this team this year?
It's been a grind the entire season. It seems like they've had to go through a process where they have to get not only used to a new offensive play caller. Of course, I'll focus more on the offensive side of the ball because that's where all the problems are. But the relationship between quarterback and offensive coordinator, and Matt Patricia's also helping and coaching the offensive line. There's a lot on his plate, and you can almost tell as they're out there playing that there's a lot of still learning that's going on. The play where Mac Jones, tried to quarterback sneak it over the end zone against the Raiders, I think it was, and then guys aren't set. Those type of things. I mean, of course, you talk about the laterals and the fumbles, but there's so much other, operational offensive things that they just have not gotten on the same page with. And for all New England Patriots fans, I live here in the region, it's frustrating to watch because you went from Josh McDaniels, who had this system that was 15 to 20 years old, to someone that comes in and they're trying to implement something new. So it's tough for players, all of the offensive players, to get used to.
Just how difficult, I mean, you're a defensive guy. How difficult is it to make that transition that Matt Patricia is trying to make and has been trying to make, to go from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side? To me, it seems almost unprecedented. I think I do remember Andy Reid trying it the opposite way with Juan Castillo, former offensive line coach in Philly, and then became a defensive coordinator. That didn't go so well. How tough is this?
It's so tough that it almost takes a year of getting used to it. And are you almost, I mean, I don't want to say wasting the year, but there's so much that has to be done. I mean, Matt Patricia was an offensive line coach before he went and coached me as a linebacker. Mm-hmm. Now that's a positional switch, Rob. You see offensive line to linebackers. Yeah. You got a veteran group that included, so many guys that have played over 10 years in the league, and it's doable. I think what Bill sort of overestimated was it's Mac Jones' second year and how important that second year was. And so not only him developing as that second year quarterback, now you've almost taken him back all the way to where now let's relearn something and try to forget. That's the important thing. Try to forget how much success you had last year, all right, and going to the Pro Bowl under Josh McDaniels, and just here's our new guy and try to get on the same page as this. It's had to be a really tough and frustrating for Mac Jones.
There's some talk that Bill may not come back, may retire, may do something different. I mean, you think of the Patriots, you think of Bill Belichick, obviously Tom Brady for all those years. Do you buy into that?
Well, I want to see Bill get Shula. And I think that there's a lot of people that have that goal in mind. I don't know what the number is. You would know. I mean, in terms of the overall victories that Don Shula had as the Miami Dolphins head coach as a career of all of his years of coaching. Bill's there. I think is about 20 or so games away. And that's something a lot of Bill's former players want to see him get. A lot of fans in New England want to get, and there's got to be transition, absolutely, in terms of who is going to be the offensive coordinator going forward. What does Bill want to decide? But definitely Bill Belichick's going to be there, and I don't have any doubt about that.
Teddy, Tom Brady, who we mentioned, you played with, you won Super Bowls with, you know him as well as anybody. It's been a frustrating year for him, but the Buccaneers have an opportunity to beat Carolina and they win the NFC South. You get into the playoffs and they would actually be a higher seed than they were 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. It's a different team. They're banged up, all these different things going on. When you look at Tampa and the struggles they've had with Tom, what do you pinpoint?
I don't know. Maybe it's, I mean, all the players that are great and have been great in the past are there. The defense is still there that they've had success with, but it seems like, I don't know, mentally they're playing as if they're waiting for something to happen, and it's almost like, okay, let's just wait for 2 minutes left in the game. And all right, let's flip a switch and let's start playing now. Okay, we got them. Boom, we're back. But that's just the thing. They flip the switch and they play, but then they flip it back off, which is weird the next week. And it's almost like this is what they've been waiting for all year. Okay, we're not going to be a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed or home field advantage or anything like that. We see what division we're playing in. I think that they all know that. I mean, they've won a championship before, a lot of them, and they see that let's just get in the tournament. And they're playing with that attitude of like, let's just get there. Okay, well, here you go. The game is coming up now versus Carolina. I mean, I would anticipate you would see the best Bucks of the entire season for this game. But then again, I really couldn't give you a good answer on who would show up because you never know with this team this year. And that's got to be incredibly frustrating for Tom, a player that sort of, exuded consistency over the course of his career. And now it's just up and down, up and down. So we'll see what they do.
And when he's got the ball in his hands and an opportunity to win the game at the end, we've seen it 3 times now, including Arizona this past Sunday night on Christmas. Yeah. They won the game. From what I've seen from him, he's still got the arm strength. There's some decision making that may be factored in because of lack of confidence in the offensive line, lack of confidence in some of the receivers. I still think this is a guy who can play again next year. I just don't know where. Do you see the same thing, Teddy?
I do. I mean, yeah, I see what you're seeing. Left tackle has been tough for them. I mean, Tom's 45. When he gets a little bit of pressure, it's always in his mind in the last, 5 to 8 years to just survive, get rid of the ball, get down. What was uncharacteristic is the turnovers that he had, and that can't happen. But I mean, your ball security as an old man sometimes goes too. But Rob, what you're asking, I agree. I mean, he could play again if he wanted to. And that's just the whole thing. Does he want to do it again? And do I want to start from scratch, maybe from another team? Because, I mean, you and I both here, is he going to another team? Does he want to go back to San Francisco? What other teams would want him? So that's a lot of decision-making that he has to go through this offseason.
Teddy, as I mentioned at the top, you are one of our AP All-Pro voters and NFL awards voters. And we had some changes this year, and I appreciate you being willing to have that conversation with me when I reached out and over the summer and we talked about it. You shared some of your thoughts. First off, how do you like the way we have now changed it? Rather than you vote for one player at MVP, you're going to do a top 5, and the other awards you're going to do a top 3. There's a lot of talk about these non-quarterbacks. The MVP it shouldn't just be for quarterbacks. I feel by doing a top 5, it opens the door for maybe not a receiver like Justin Jefferson to win or Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa to win, but at least be in that conversation.
Yeah. First of all, it's been an absolute blast being part of it the last 2 years. It's something that I watch religiously every single week to see what the level of play of these certain players are. I love the new format, the first and second team of the All-Pro, and also the top 5 for the MVP and the top 3 for the other awards. And it's exactly because of it, just what you said. I'm not going to, me, myself, voting for 5 quarterbacks from 10, 5, 3, 2, 1 format is just not something that I could do. I think the top 3 quarterbacks in my mind that I have, they're all battling out for my final vote in terms of the order. the fourth and the fifth place is when these other players that deserve mention absolutely do. I mean, is it a Justin Jefferson? Is it a Nick Bosa? I mean, do you have seasons where Trent Williams had a season at the left tackle for the San Francisco 49ers last year? That was imperative to their success. Those type of things. It can be more broad and it can be more specific at the same time, because I mean, I think we all see the discrepancies in what happens when these players make the Pro Bowl and how someone can just slip in and slip through the cracks. And it's like, whoa, how did that happen? But the work that all of us voters are put in through our teams, the first and second team, has been a lot. I mean, me, myself, since week 4, I have processed and made a list of, say if I'm talking the defensive tackle, I put like the top 6 to start and just narrow it down all the way throughout my film study all over the course of the year, to where even today, I mean, I'll just break out a name. I'm watching Christian Wilkins and from the Miami Dolphins, and it's like, man, this guy's all over the place, and definitely he needs to be in the conversation. So with the first and second team, that does that for me. I can watch more, and I can see all of these great players that we have and give them recognition.
I appreciate that you do that, because I see how seriously that you take this, and it's a prestigious award. All of these are prestigious awards. One final question on this, from the MVP standpoint, just how hard is it, Tedy, to take, for example, a team like the Philadelphia Eagles with a dominant offensive line, excellent skill position players, but a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who certainly elevated his play and helped them get off to a 13-1 start. And then you want to give him his just credit, right? But you also recognize the pieces around him have stepped up and are helping that performance. How do you weigh that?
Well, I think you just look at the player himself and his value to the team. And, you know, there's other players that have that value, like a Jalen Hurts. I mean, there's 2 aspects of it too, Rob. I mean, is it the system? Is it the offensive line? Is it AJ Brown? Is it Devontae Smith? Those type of guys. But the quarterback puts it all together, you know, and you have to give Jalen Hurts his credit and his due. I mean, even when they go out there with the Gardner Minshew and they still perform admirably, but still it's like, what would have happened? So I have to go through my mind if Jalen Hurts was there. So, you know, does it hurt him by not being there? All of these things. Now I'm watching Mahomes. Now I'm watching Allen and all these other quarterbacks. I look forward to watching Jalen as this process goes forward, because all the way through week 16, week 17, all of these weeks, they are valuable when we have such a tight MVP race like we do.
It's not easy. I'm glad you're the one who's got to actually make the votes. I just assign. So I thank you for that, Tedy. I appreciate your time, man. This was a lot of fun. Wish you a ton of blessings, my friend.
All right, Rob. Same to you, buddy. Thanks.